In our previous video, we put our basic resume elements in place. On the left, we have our work history waiting to be fleshed out. And in this video, we're going to add extra content to our My Skills section. We're going to use Bootstrap progress bars to visually represent the level of skill currently attained in various technologies. So feel free to check the Bootstrap documentation at any time if you want more clarification on how these progress bars work. So what we're going to do is add this to our project. And what I just want to do is, under the My Skills heading here, I want to compress that row because I want to add a new row underneath. And then, of course, this being Bootstrap, I have to add another column as well. To create a progress bar, then, we use a progress class. This is a default built-in class provided by Bootstrap that acts as a wrapper for a progress bar and its content. The actual bar itself is created using the progress bar class, and we need to add some extra attributes to this as well. First of all, we need to say role equals progress bar, and then we want to set some ARIA attributes as well. The ARIA-value now attribute represents the current value of the progress bar, so we're setting this one to 90. And then we need to create a range, so ARIA-value min is set to 0, and ARIA-value max is set to 100, which gives it a 0 to 100 range. The next thing that we're going to do is do some inline styling, and this is necessary for progress bars to actually give us the width. It's not something that I generally recommend to do inline styling, but in this case, this is how Bootstrap have chosen to implement it. Inside the div then, I'm going to create another span, give that the class of SR only, which we came across before, so this is for screen readers only, and when a screen reader encounters this progress bar, which otherwise it would make no sense of, it will read 90% complete. Then under that div, we're going to add in another span with the class of progress type. And this will be a textual description of what the progress bar is communicating to us. So in this case, it's HTML/HTML5. Rose is saying that she's 90% proficient in HTML and HTML5. 90% relative to the other skill sets we'll display. So when I refresh the page, we see we have this little progress bar that's appeared down at the end, with a label way off on the right-hand side. So where did we get that color from? Well, that's the default color for a progress bar, and we're going to use some other built-in Bootstrap color classes to provide a range of colors for the different technologies that Rosie is skilled in. But first, let's start adding some custom styles. What we want to do in our style.css is override or extend the progress class. So let's grab one of our comments here, copy it, paste it in down at the end of our CSS file, and change the text to skills. Now that we've done that, we can override or extend, as we said, the progress class. Remember, this is provided by Bootstrap, and it's the wrapper class we mentioned a moment ago. So we're going to set the position to relative, and we're also going to make some changes to the height. When you change the height of a progress wrapper, it automatically changes the height of the bar inside. And we're also going to just give a little bottom margin of 4 pixels just to push down the bars relative to each other. The next class that we want to style is the progress type. Remember that the progress type represents the text label, and we want it to sit on top of the progress bar instead of over to the right, and we also want it to be positioned to the far left. So to do this, we're going to set the position to absolute. This is the absolute child of a relative parent, so when we set the left position to 0 pixels, it will move it to the far left of the progress bar. We're just going to set the font weight to 400 as well, and some padding. Top of 3 pixels, right of 30, bottom of 2, and left of 10, just so that we have a bit of horizontal breathing space. Our font color will be the off-white color that we've been using throughout this section, which is the #FA. And we're going to set a background color using RGBA to provide some background opacity. So I'm going to set that to 25, 25, 25, and then 0.2 opacity. Okay, so let's save that, refresh our page and see what we get. And that's looking better. There's a little bit more space underneath, but most of all, the label is looking so much nicer, sat there at the left-hand side with a darker and opaque background. So now all we need to do is some general copy and paste and change the particulars. So do remember that when we copy and paste the progress bar, we have to change the value in 3 different places. We have to change it in the ARIA value now. We have to change it in the inline style and also in our screen reader class. I'm also going to add the class of BG-success, which will give our progress bar a green background. And these are built-in Bootstrap color classes. I'll also set the text to CSS/CSS3. So we have a blue bar and a green bar. I'm going to add in a few more as well, and we'll use all these different Bootstrap color classes. So we'll paste that in. This time I'm going to say BG info. And again, if you want to understand these different Bootstrap color classes, then check out the Bootstrap documentation. Each one of these BG classes that we're using here is a default built-in Bootstrap color class. So this one is going to be for JavaScript and jQuery. We've set our values to 70%. We'll put another one in here. I'm going to set the background this time to warning. Again, as we say, these aren't really warnings, they're just colors that are usually used to give a warning on the screen. That's why it has that name. This time, Rosie reckons that her Django and Python knowledge is 80%. And as we said, these are very arbitrary numbers. It really just gives a viewer an overview of Rosie's strengths. The last one we'll do then is background of danger, which will be red. We'll give it an 80% rating again. And this will be for NoSQL and SQL, or structured query language databases. You'll come onto that more as we get into our data-centric module. So let's refresh the page. And things are already looking quite good. It's quite visually appealing. What we will do soon is change the content of our descriptors above, but first we want to push the progress bars down a little bit below the columns above our description text. All these subtle changes build up to and combine to create a positive emotional response, which is good UX. So to do this, what we're going to do is create a new class. We're going to add it to our row, and this is going to be called progress-section. So I'll just copy that class name. And then we'll go into our style CSS and add the class in at the bottom here. So that's progress section. And in the progress section, we're going to set some margins. So 40 pixels top and bottom, 20 pixels left and right. So when I do that, we can see now that things are looking much nicer. It's more visually appealing. Plenty of color, easily recognizable, and digestible in terms of what it's trying to communicate to us. So now let's just paste in some text to adjust our front end and our back end descriptions. So I have this text already. I'm just going to paste it in. You can add in any text that you want here. And we'll do the same for the back end. And paste in the text that I have already. So now when I save that and refresh it, we have a nice, simple, yet visually appealing page. So that completes our skills section and our progress bars. In our next video, we're going to tie our work history in using colors and creating a timeline.